friend, family, follower, whoever you are, what's up? If you're watching this, that means you have found my 2022 in review video. I have made one of these videos at the end of every year since 2018, so this is my fifth, that was 10, this is my fifth year doing it, pretty exciting. But I make these videos for two reasons. One, personal, I enjoy being able to go back and watch my old videos and see how I've changed and grown throughout the years. But two, the arguably more important reason, is that life is not perfect, especially on social media. It's really easy to kind of portray ourselves as having these perfect, picturesque lives, and that's not always the case. Especially in my life, what you see on social media is not wholly representative of what goes on behind the camera. Not that I'm like super big on social media. Please don't think I'm saying that, because I'm not. But this is really just me trying to keep it real and saying, I have problems, I struggle with stuff. And I also hope that, if you need to talk, please feel free to drop a comment, send me a DM, whatever it might be. Usually every year when I post these, I get some comments or at least a couple DMs of someone saying like, hey, I dealt with the same thing this year too. It's nice to know that you dealt with it. And if that's you, or if that's going to be you after this video, please feel free to reach out, or don't, doesn't matter, but just know I am here for you. But with that being said, I'm gonna get started. So there's two main things that I want to talk about this year. The first one is learning how to be alone, and the second one is changing the way I process things. So this year, honestly, has been a very big year in terms of self-growth, improvement, and reflection for me. I say with complete confidence that I am the happiest and most confident that I've ever been in myself and in my life. And I feel like I've finally reached that place in life where no matter what happens, who comes, who goes, what comes and what goes, I'm good. And it's honestly because throughout this year, I have worked pretty hard at getting comfortable with both my heart and my head. And it wasn't easy, but I'm going to talk about that journey a little bit and kind of explain how, why, and what effect doing these things had on my life. So in terms of being comfortable alone, I've always been someone who gets very emotionally invested in things and people. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because I think it's important to be passionate about things like that and show people you care. However, it becomes a problem when you start relying on those people or those things for your own happiness. And I really noticed this year that I was always looking for external things, whether it be a person or a thing, whatever. I was never comfortable being still. And there's always these thoughts in my head running around of like, oh, what if I lose this person? Or what if this thing doesn't work out? Or, what if X, what if Y? And having those kind of thoughts is really stressful, because you're relying on things you can't control. And when something is out of your control, if you pay attention to it like that, and if you give merit to the fact that you can't control it, it can consume your life. And I talked about this a little bit in the video last year. I talked about learning to adopt Stoic principles. And I worked really, really, really hard this year at making that my life, and now it is. So as I talked about last year, the idea of Stoic principles is basically, I cannot control what happens to me. I can only control how I react. And I really wanted that to be the motto of my life this year. And so in order to do that, I spent a lot of time but really coming to terms with some truths about myself that I didn't really want to come to terms with, I guess. But those truths were, like I mentioned before, I'm not happy alone. I look towards people for attention, towards things for satisfaction, versus being comfortable with what's in here and up here. And coming to terms with that was pretty rough, but fixing it was a lot of fun. Because in order to fix it, I ended up spending a lot of time alone. I started reading a lot, going for walks, going for runs, my attempt at running. I'm not a good runner. Really just being alone. Because for so long I turned towards people, I turned towards things as distractions. But I just got tired of that, and I got tired of worrying about, if this one person or if this one thing left my life, how I would react, because I wouldn't have that crutch. And I didn't want to feel like that anymore. And I can with confidence now say that I'm very, very happy alone. I've learned to love my life simply from what comes from in here and up here. And I saw this quote a little while ago that really struck a chord with me, and it says, "The price of loneliness is the knowledge of ourselves." And I would not say my life is lonely at all, because I'm surrounded by the best people, and I'm so thankful for all of them. But going through this process of learning to love being alone has taught me so much about myself, and I feel like I'm the most confident and comfortable with myself that I've ever been. And I'm honestly at a really good place. But to add on to this, being comfortable alone does not mean you have to be alone. And I would say the people that I have in my life right now, I'm honestly surrounded by the best people, like the best people. And I'm sure some of you guys are going to watch this, and I really hope you know who you are, because thank you. Like, I love you, seriously. But that being said, everyone that I have in my life is in my life as like a gift or a blessing or privilege. They're not in my life because I need them in my life, if that makes sense. And so yes, while I would be pretty sad if some of them decided to up and walk out of my life tomorrow, I would be okay, because again, as I said maybe 3 times now, all I need is here and here. I don't need external presences. I'm pretty sure it's presences. I don't know English, don't ask me. But I don't need external people or things to make my life complete. And I've really learned, and going through this process has taught me to appreciate those in my life so much more, because I don't look at them now as some like people or things that I need to clutch on and hold on to. I look at them as just like, thank you for being here. And it like lightens up relationships. It lightens up the stress you feel knowing that you can accept people as they come and as they go. And so again, I do want to reiterate to those of you who are in my life right now, I mean, like I said, I think I said this already, this is probably the best support circle and group of people in my life, the best group of people in my life that I've ever had. And again, I do just really, 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 really want to thank you. If you're watching this, you probably know like who you are, but thank you. Anyways, moving on. The second thing, this looks bad. The second thing that I really want to talk about was changing the way I process things. And this kind of stemmed from learning how to be alone, because this actually came from one of the books that I read. This book was called The Untethered Soul. I do not remember the author, but I will put it somewhere. But this book really, really, really changed the way that I process things and, like, honestly, my worldview. And what this book taught me was that instead of, say a stressor event comes into your life, instead of being in the stressor event and experiencing it, learn to observe yourself experiencing it. And I know probably sounds kind of weird, but it's almost as if you have this like turmoil situation here, and you take yourself out of it, and you watch all this crap happening, you know, whatever it might be, but you're not in it. And it kind of gives you this space between you and whatever you're dealing with that allows you to think more clearly and more rationally and not be as affected by it as you may be if you were like truly stuck in the situation. Before I continue, I'm going to try to give like a good example of this way of thinking, but I do just want to say, going back to what I said at the beginning of the video, part of the reason I make these videos is to keep it real. So I'm going to talk about a breakup that I dealt with this year. I'm far moved past it, over it. Please don't think I'm caught up on it or anything like that. But I'm going to talk about it kind of to hone in the points that I'm making here. But also too, life isn't perfect. What you see on social media isn't everything. So this is probably one of the darker times I went through this year. But anyways, I was dating someone for a couple months. It was one of those, like, I guess, intense but short relationships, but he ended up breaking up with me after about 3 months. It was completely out of the blue, though. I didn't see it coming at all. And so we broke up on the phone because we were long distance. But it pretty much blindsided me, for lack of a better word. But going through the breakup, I handled it much more maturely, much more responsibly than 2 years ago me would have ever been capable of doing. So I'm pretty proud of that. But the two biggest factors in dealing with this were, one, I was confident and comfortable enough with myself to know that even without him, I'd be just fine. And two, changing how I process things. So in terms of the processing things, so when he broke up with me, I was in school, and I had previously in college, dealing with a long-term ex that I talked about in my last video, going through the woes of that relationship definitely got in the way of school. It had an impact on my daily life. You know, if something was wrong in the relationship, my day was fucked. If he did something that, you know, he shouldn't have been doing and I found out about it, my day was ruined, like that kind of deal. But I knew going through this breakup, I was like, I'm not gonna let that be my life. Like, I'm not gonna let this get in the way of my life the same way that it did in the past. Like, ain't no way. That shit ain't gonna happen. But having this new method of processing things made a world of difference, because honestly, when the breakup happened, even on the phone as he was breaking up with me, I was deleting texts, deleting pictures. I was getting myself ready to like be over it. And I did what I talked about. Here's the breakup. Here's me. That's what I did. So here's me continuing on with my day, and here's the breakup happening. So, or happening, and then here's like the sad feelings afterwards. It was hard, I'm not gonna lie. And I'm not trying to make it sound like I boxed up and shoved it away, because I didn't do that. I dealt with it, I processed it, I'm over it. But going through those emotions, approaching it with the idea of observing it versus being in it made a huge, huge, huge world of difference. And it allowed me to continue on with my daily life, not let it interfere, and really just be like this thing that happened. And that's honestly the point of the book, The Untethered Soul, is when you're looking at stressors or events in your life, good or bad, instead of clinging on to them, whichever one it may be, you pretty much approach it with, this is a thing that is happening. I'm seeing it happen. I'm feeling emotions, but I'm not gonna let it fuck with me. And mastering that way of thinking, really through reading that book, made a world of difference going through this breakup, because I would say, arguably, I had more feelings for this person than I did anyone else I've ever had for in the past. And this is also the quickest I've gotten over anything. And so I'm really proud of that. And again, please, if you're watching this, don't think I'm sitting here caught up on an ex, because I'm not. That's just something that happened this year, kind of a significant event. But going through that, the way I handled it and moved on from the situation really, really showed me how much I have changed from who I was 2 years ago. Because 2 years ago, me would have handled that breakup completely differently, and it would have been a shit show. So all that being said about being comfortable alone and also changing the way you process things, or I process things, if there's one takeaway you should have, it is that the mind really, really, really is a powerful thing, and it has so much influence over your life. And if you're not good in here and up here, what's around you will not be good. And conversely, if you are good here and here, regardless of what's going on around you, you will be fine. And that is something that I have spent years figuring out and getting to. And I finally feel that now I'm there. And I know every year I've kind of talked about it here and there. And I'll probably say the same thing next year. Every year I've gotten closer, but this is the first time I've really have ever felt like I'm there. And I don't know necessarily why that is, or why this year was like the defining year, but I think this year, I don't know if I've just matured, relaxed, whatever it might be, but I just feel like I've settled into my life, and I feel calm, collected, peaceful, and confident. And no, I honestly feel that no matter what comes my way, I'm ready. You know, I'm ready for good things to come into my life, and I'm ready for the bad. And I don't know, it's just, I love my life. I don't think I've genuinely said that statement in a few years now, but I really, 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 really love my life. And I really wouldn't trade it for anything, you know? I just, there really aren't words, but it's just, I feel peace. I feel happiness and I feel love. And I feel so much love like within me. I feel so much peace within me. I don't have words. Sorry, this has been a lot of weird sentences right now, but it's all true. And I really, really hope if you're watching this, if you've made it this far in this video, that you feel the way I do. And if you don't, I really hope you get there, because it's like the best feeling in the world to just be calm and not stress. And I'm not saying I don't stress about things in life. That's not true. But I don't feel stressed about my life. And I really, really hope you're able to get there. And I hope if you watch this video, maybe you can learn something from it or take away something from it. Because I feel like we can all learn from each other and learn through everyone's trials and tribulations. And I've certainly had my fair share. But getting to where I am definitely has not been easy, hasn't been a smooth road, but progress is not linear, never is. But I'm really, really excited for next year. I'm very much looking forward into continuing this trend and bringing it into the new year. Well, all that being said, if you've made it to here, that means you have made it to the end of the ride. So I do want to thank you for watching. I really enjoy making these every year, even though it's just me talking to the camera about my own life and posting it and like 10 people watching it, maybe. But I do appreciate you watching this far if you, again, made it here. I've never said this in a video before, but honestly, if you should make a video like this. I really, really, really enjoy having these and going back and watching them. It's almost like a strange trip, you know? But I encourage you to do the same, even if you don't post it, just for a personal diary. They're great. But after all that, thank you again if you made it this far. I wish you all the best in 2023, and I hope you look back upon 2022, and even if you have a great year, I hope you're able to learn from it, and I hope going into the new year, you experience all the greatest joys, love, and happiness that you deserve.